Sutton Scarsdale Hall is a Grade 1 listed Georgian ruined stately home in Sutton Scarsdale, just outside Chesterfield, Derbyshire. The original hall formed part of a Saxon estate owned by Wilfred Sprott, who died in 1002 and left the estate to Burton-on-Trent Abbey. In the Domesday Book, the estate was owned by Roger de Poitou. In 1225, the lordship of Sutton in the Dale had been given by King Henry III to Peter de Hairston, but in 1401 it had been purchased by John Leake of Gotham. A later John Leake was made a knight by King Henry VIII. His son, Francis Leake, was created a baronet by King James I in 1611 and elevated to Earl of Scarsdale by King Charles I in 1640. When the English Civil War broke out, Leake joined the Cavaliers and the whole structure was strengthened, particularly so with Bolsover Castle on the opposite hillside swearing loyalty to the Roundheads. When a parliamentarian force of 500 men led by Sir John Gell surrounded the estate, Leake resisted until the house was stormed and he was taken prisoner. With the estate seized by Oliver Cromwell's forces after the end of the war, a forfeiture fine of £18,000 was levied and paid for Leake's support of the imprisoned King Charles. The existing structure is believed to be the fourth or fifth built on the site. In 1724, Nicholas Leake, 4th Earl of Scarsdale, commissioned the building of a design by architect Francis Smith to develop a Georgian mansion with gardens using parts of the existing structure. On a scale and quality with Chatsworth House, internally it featured both oak ornamental panels and stucco plasterwork by Italian craftsmen Francesco Vassalli, Giovanni Bagutti and the brothers Giuseppe and Alberto Attari. Carved Adamas fireplaces in both marble and blue john and the carved mahogany staircase. Following the death of the 4th Earl, Member of Parliament Godfrey Clark purchased the estate in 1740. Sometime after his son's death in 1774, Walter Butler, 1st Marquess of Ormond, gained ownership by marriage, and after his death in 1824, Richard Arkwright Jr. of Cromford Mill fame became the owner. William Arkwright of Sutton Scarsdale was High Sheriff of Derbyshire in 1890. Richard Arkwright Jr. bought Sutton Scarsdale in 1824. He was the son of Sir Richard Arkwright, who invented the water frame and had a major involvement in the cotton industry. Richard had his father's business acumen and prospered in cotton. When he was about 25, he bought the Manchester Mill in Miller's Lane and entered into partnership with the Simpson brothers. In 1780, he married Mary Simpson, and over the next 2 decades the couple had 11 children. Wonder what their hobbies were. 6 boys and 5 girls. When Richard's father died in 1792, he inherited a large part of his estate, and at this point he decided to dispose of most of his cotton mill interest and concentrate on property and banking. In this sphere, he amassed a very large fortune, and when he died in 1843, he was said to be the richest commoner in England. After his death, his son Robert Arkwright inherited Sutton Scarsdale Hall. In 1805, much to the family's dismay, Robert married the actress Frances Crawford Kemble, daughter of Stephen Kemble, part of the famous theatrical family. His elder brother Richard wrote a letter to their father shortly after the marriage, expressing his hope that the marriage was not legal and saying that Robert will soon repent of not following the advice of you and mother. However, the family did not need to worry about Robert's choice of wife, as Frances became a charming hostess and soon made friends in the aristocracy. She was a gifted writer of music, and many of her songs are still available today. Her aunt was the famous actress Sarah Siddons, and she often dined with Robert's parents when they were in London. When Robert died in 1859, Sutton Scarsdale Hall was inherited by his son, the Reverend Godfrey Harry Arkwright. Godfrey was born in 1814 and educated at Eton and Trinity. He was married twice, first to Frances Raffella Fitzherbert, who died in 1856, and then to Marion Hilary Adelaide Pillow. He had 3 children to each wife, 4 boys and 2 girls. His eldest son was Francis Arkwright, and it was he who inherited Sutton Scarsdale when his father Godfrey died in 1866. Francis Arkwright was born in 1846 and was educated at Eton. In 1868 he married Louisa Milbank, who was the daughter of Mr. Henry Milbank and Lady Margaret Milbank. Unfortunately, his wife died in 1873. They had only 1 daughter. He later married Evelyn, who was the daughter of William, 3rd Viscount of Sidmouth, but they had no children. In 1874, Francis became a Member of Parliament, a position he held until 1880. In 1882 he migrated to New Zealand, and about this time he left Sutton Scarsdale Hall in the care of his cousin William Arkwright. William inherited the property when Francis died in 1915, as Francis had no male heir. William Arkwright was born in 1857. His father was Major William Arkwright and his mother was Fanny Susan Thornwell. In 1884 he married Agnes Mary Summers Cox, who was the daughter of the Honourable John James Thomas Summers Cox. William was interested in breeding dogs and wrote a book titled The Pointer and His Predecessors. In 1919, William auctioned Sutton Scarsdale Hall with the rest of the estate. A description of the house was contained in the catalogue, and it read as follows. The hall is well situated on high ground with fine views, and is a handsome classical building with fine elevations, built of stone with lead and slate roof, and contains on the ground floor, fine entrance hall about 40 foot by 25 foot and 2 inner halls, 2 drawing rooms about 34 foot by 23 foot and 21 foot by 21 foot respectively. Dining room about 27 foot by 24 foot with strong room, morning room about 22 foot by 20 foot. Smoking room about 23 foot by 22 foot. Library 23 foot by 14 foot, lavatories and WCs, billiard room about 23 foot by 22 foot with lavatory adjoining, also servants hall about 27 foot by 22 feet, housekeeper's room, servants sitting room, butler's pantry with bedroom and silver closet, kitchen, scullery, 3 larders, laundry, 4 storerooms, drying room, boot room, gun room, lamp room. On the first floor, approached by a wide oak main staircase with a secondary staircase from centre and inner halls. Landing about 23 feet by 24 feet. Beautiful ballroom with carved oak ornamentation and gold and white decoration about 25 feet by 39 feet with coved ceiling and columns. 6 principal bedrooms, about 22 foot by 23 foot, 23 foot by 20 foot, 18 foot by 24 foot, 21 foot by 21 foot, 23 foot by 22 foot, and 22 foot by 22 foot respectively. 3 dressing rooms, 5 secondary bedrooms, 8 smaller bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, housemaid's cupboards, 4 WCs, iron spiral emergency staircase to ground floor. On the top floor, 9 bedrooms, box room, clock room and back staircase down to the ground floor. After many years of neglect, in November 1919 the estate was bought by a group of local businessmen who asset stripped the house. This went as far as removing the roof in 1920. Some parts of the building were shipped to the United States, where one room's oak panelling was bought by newspaper baron William Randolph Hearst, who planned to use it at Hearst Castle. After many years in storage in New York City, the panelling was bought by Pall Mall Films for use as a set in their various 1950s productions. Another set of panels are now resident in the Philadelphia Museum of Art. In 1946, the estate was bought by Sir Osbert Sitwell of Renishaw Hall with the intention of preserving the remaining shell as a ruin. The hall was designated as a Grade 1 listed building in 1951 and is now in the care of English Heritage. The manor was also the inspiration for the derelict Wayne Manor in the movie Batman vs Superman.